Hello from Shanghai, this is Chris. Welcome to another episode of China Currents, your weekly news report of what's happening in China. On November 4th, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese started his 4-day trip to China, seeking dialogue and cooperation. It is Albanese's first visit to China since its inauguration and the first visit by an Australian Prime Minister since 2016. On November 5th, Prime Minister Albanese delivered a speech at the opening ceremony of the 6th China International Import Expo in Shanghai. Constructive economic engagement between countries helps to build relationships. That's why the government that I lead will continue to work constructively with China, Albanese said in his speech. The visit is largely reported positively in both China and Australia, which is seen as China-Australia relations getting back in the right direction. On November 6th, Prime Minister Albanese met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. President Xi told PM Albanese that his visit can be described as carrying on the past and opening up the future, citing the fact that this year marks the 50th anniversary of the trip made by Gough Whitlam, the first Australian leader to visit China. Xi told Albanese that the small yard and high fence mentality, decoupling and de-risking are essentially forms of protectionism, which runs counter to the laws of the market, the laws of science, and the trend of human society. China pursues a win-win strategy of opening up and comprehensively promotes the building of a strong country and national rejuvenation through Chinese-style modernization. This will bring unprecedented opportunities to Australia and other countries around the world. Xi called on China and Australia to enhance mutual understanding and trust through peaceful coexistence and achieve common development through mutually beneficial cooperation. Next up, on November 5th, the 6th China International Import Expo started in East China's Shanghai, with 154 countries, regions, and international organizations, more than 3,400 exhibitors, and more than 390,000 attendees participated. Among these countries, 64 are in the Belt and Road Initiative. And notably, this year marks the first time the United States has set up an official pavilion. A great number of cutting-edge technologies and new products are making their debut at this event. It received acclaim from foreign leaders and officials for its contributions to providing business opportunities to global enterprises, fostering international trade and cooperation, and promoting global economic development. Next up on Chinese national defense. China's National Defense Ministry spokesperson Zhang Xiaogang responded on Saturday to Canada's recent claim of unsafe interception by Chinese military jets, saying that the Canadian helicopters' approaches to Chinese airspace in the South China Sea were malicious and provocative acts with ulterior motives. On November 3rd, Canadian Minister of National Defense Bill Blair accused Chinese fighter jets of circling over the so-called international waters in the South China Sea on October 29th and launching flares over a Canadian helicopter, stating that these incidents put Canadian aircrew at risk. Spokesperson Zhang Xiaogang clarified that 2 unidentified Canadian helicopters from the frigate Ottawa repeatedly approached Chinese airspace over the Shisha Islands. The People's Liberation Army took appropriate measures to identify and warn the aircraft. The Canadian helicopters not only failed to respond, but they also engaged in provocative actions, such as flying at extremely low altitudes. Subsequently, the Canadian side sensationalized and misrepresented the incident through the media, baselessly accusing and tarnishing China. Such actions by Canada violates both Chinese domestic law and relevant international law, endangering China's sovereignty and security, representing a deliberate act of malicious provocation. This is the second time within 2 weeks that Canada has publicly sensationalized what they refer to as dangerous intercepts by Chinese military aircrafts. On October 14th, the CP-140 aircraft from Canada illegally entered Chinese territorial airspace near Diaoyu Islands, seriously infringing upon Chinese sovereignty and posing a threat to China's national security. And next up on technology, the opening ceremony of the 2023 World Internet Conference Wuzhen Summit was held on November 8th. Chinese President Xi Jinping addressed the summit via video. He called for building a more equal and inclusive cyberspace and stressed the need to better promote the shared values of humanity. Hosted by the WIC and the People's Government of Zhejiang Province, the summit aims to celebrate the achievements and advancement in the digital world while fostering global cooperation in cyberspace. The Wuzhen Summit will feature 20 sub-forums covering a wide range of topics, including global development initiatives for digital cooperation, digital transformation for green and sustainable development, data governance, network computing power, artificial intelligence, and the digital future. The summit brings together more than 580 enterprises from over 48 countries, both in person and online. The event will combine exhibitions, product launches, technology demonstrations, and job fairs, covering a multifaceted platform for knowledge exchange and industry engagement. It serves as a platform for participants to explore innovative solutions and seize opportunities in a rapidly evolving digital landscape. On November 8th, the China Internet Development Report and the World Internet Development Report were unveiled during the 2023 World Internet Conference Wuzhen Summit. According to the reports, as of June, an impressive 364 million individuals in China were utilizing internet healthcare services, showcasing the profound integration of digital technology into people's daily lives. Furthermore, an average of 68,000 disabled individuals annually found employment opportunities through the internet in China, underscoring the transformative power of digital platforms. In addition to its domestic advancement, China has demonstrated its commitment to global digital public services enhancement. The country has actively engaged in international collaboration, particularly in the realm of internet-based poverty alleviation. The release of these reports signifies China's dedication to fostering digital innovation, expanding internet access, and utilizing technology for the betterment of society at large. And next up, let's take a look at some extreme weather. Since November 5th, the China Meteorological Administration has issued 3-day warnings for blizzard, cold waves, and strong winds, signaling the first major blizzard of the season in China's northeast region. Local weather stations picked up a record-breaking snowfall on November 6th. In response to the anticipated severe blizzard, multiple cities in the northeast have enforced school closures on November 6th, as one of the region's largest hubs, Harbin Airport, grounded 260 flights on the same day. As one of China's main grain-producing regions, the northeast has millions of acres of corn and rice yet to be harvested as blizzards hit. The Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Affairs has dispatched expert teams to northeast provinces to expedite the final stages of autumn harvest. Additionally, local farmers have been guided to reinforce windproof structures for greenhouses and warehouses to ensure food supply. On November 6th, a stadium collapsed in Jiamusi, a city in China's northeastern province, Heilongjiang. The building, which had a 2-story frame structure covering an area of 2,000 square meters, experienced a collapse in approximately 1/4 of its structure. There were a total of 7 people present. The rescue operation was completed by midnight, resulting in 3 fatalities and 1 injury. Witnesses reported that heavy snow and ice had accumulated on the roof of the stadium prior to the collapse. Next up, on November 8th, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted Zhang Youxia, the vice chairman of the Central Military Commission of China, in Moscow. Zhang Youxia conveyed President Xi Jinping's warm greetings and best wishes to President Putin. Zhang Youxia stated that China-Russia friendship continues to grow and strengthen over time. In this year, China and Russia have achieved several successful meetings and a series of important consensus. China is willing to work with Russia to jointly safeguard the interests of both countries as well as the world and regional prosperity and stability. And during the meeting, Putin emphasized Russia and China are not seeking to create any military alliances using Cold War-era templates. He points out that although military cooperation is becoming increasingly important, China and Russia are currently paying more attention to the economic front and have been quite effective in these efforts, which is a positive momentum in bilateral trade and economic ties. Last but not least, at the invitation of U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, He Lifeng, member of the Political Bureau of the CPC Central Committee and Vice Premier of the State Council, departed for San Francisco on November 8th to visit the United States. The trip is to implement the consensus reached at the meeting between the heads of 2 countries in Bali last year. During the Bali meeting, the 2 leaders agreed that the financial teams of the 2 countries would conduct dialogue and coordination on macroeconomic policies as well as economic and trade issues. In September 2023, to implement the important consensus of the meeting in Bali, China and US agreed to establish working groups in the economic field, including an economic working group and a financial working group. Lifeng's visit to the United States thus aims to strengthen the cooperation between China and US in the economic field. China-US relations are a hot topic on the Chinese internet. The general consensus among Chinese netizens is that the possible win-win of China-US relations is beneficial for economic development of both countries. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching this episode of China Currents. If you have any thoughts and comments about our show, please reach us at the email address below. I'm Chris, looking forward to hearing from you, and see you next time.